You're watching The Whole Living Show on Trajectory TV.
Operate out of your dreams and your vision and not other people's expectation. Having breast cancer wasn't my choice, but the decision to live healthy so that I could stand before you here today, that's choice. You can choose this very moment to change your life from every perspective.
Tracy Randolph was our speaker. She came back because so many people liked her first presentation. I was one of those people that joined her fitness group, and it made me a better leader.
I grew up in a community, but they had limiting beliefs on what a little black girl could do. Everything that you do in this life is a choice. I choose to live healthy. I choose to change my mindset. I choose to be everything that I dreamed of because I choose faith and I choose me. Live healthy, be everything that you can be today. Choose yourself. Everybody, it is Wednesday. It is time for the Whole Living Show, and you know how we do this every Wednesday. I always have an amazing guest, but I gotta call this beautiful woman a powerful powerhouse purposepreneur. That's what I gotta give. That's her name. But I'm not gonna give you her name yet because we're gonna go into something else. I saw actually somebody sent me this video, and it was quite disturbing to me for a number of reasons, and I'm gonna mention why. And I just have questions around it. So I wanted to share it with everybody because I want to know what everybody out there thinks about this video.
To contain edible vaccines is well underway. Work is being done with bananas, potatoes, tomatoes, lettuce, rice, wheat, soybeans, and corn. Companies like Medicago are using gene editing to turn plants into mini bioreactors.
Medicago's manufacturing facility looks like a nursery, but inside these plants, they're growing a new kind of vaccine. The technology is called a virus-like particle.
At Medicago, we use a careful step-by-step process to develop vaccines, using our plants as mini bioreactors. We start with the gene sequence or code of a virus. We then use our technology to synthesize the virus code into a real biological product. The code contains genetic instructions that our plants can read, and we insert it into bacteria called Agrobacterium tumefaciens. We submerge the plants in a bath with the bacteria that carries the information into the plant cells. And using a vacuum, we suck out the air between the plant cells and replace it with the liquid. The plants absorb it like a sponge. At the end of their bacterial bath, we return our plants to a carefully controlled greenhouse.
And yet again, we were right. We tried to warn them. All I have to say is thank God I live near the Amish people and I have my own plants. Let me know what you're going to do in the comments below.
Editing of plants to continue.
So, yeah, what does everybody think about that? I'm going to share my own opinion, and this is my opinion, so let's put the disclaimer on that. But they're infusing plants, things that we eat on a regular basis, with a vaccine. And if you paid attention to that video, it said that they are sucking out the cells from the plant. So where's the nutrition in all of this, right? What you actually need from the plants in order for your body to thrive versus sucking out all the cells from the plant, which gives you what you need to thrive so that you don't have illness, right? Because food is medicine, first of all. And then they're infusing it back with putting in the vaccine and the DNA and the cells that comes from the vaccine. There's a problem with this, you guys. And I just have to share this here. And my questions around this are, how we go into the store right now, they put some rules around organic farming versus, just the regular farming. Well, are we going to have the right to choose the way we do today with the organic farming? Is there now going to be a section that says vaccine infused vegetables? Like, how will we know? So this disturbs me. It's infuriating and it disturbs me because I want my food to be my nutrition. I want my food to be my medicine. I want my food to do what I know it does so that my body can thrive off of it. The fruit and vegetables that we have here, the vegetation that we have, that our earth is growing or can grow, is what's meant for us. Okay? It was put here by God, and I'm going to see what my guest has to say about this, but these things were put here for us to thrive. I have another story for you. I went to a chiropractor, and we had this long conversation because I was geeking out. She's a medical doctor, and I was geeking out on all the information that she knew, but she also believes in holistic practices. And she was talking about how our brain sends signals through our spine, right? And how our spine then sends those signals out through our nervous system to all of our organs so that they can function properly. Well, the same type of thing happens when you start to digest all those nutrients that you get from your food, goes into your intestines, into your small intestines, and it goes into your bloodstream so that your body can thrive. So the signals that you're getting from your spine and the nutrients that's coming in through your digestive system is what allows your body to thrive. Everybody, I'm so disturbed by this. I really am. It really hurts to see that this is what's happening and this is the direction that things are going in. And I'm even going to ask my coach here, is this Revelations right now? Because this is crazy to me. And if you read Revelations, baby, okay. So I'm going to introduce my coach, Aarionna Hamilton, saying, yes, she is a powerhouse purposepreneur. If you have heard her speak on any platform, this young woman, woo, that's all I can say. That's how she has me. Every time I hear her speak, I'm like, girl, what you doing to me? But I love it because she is focused on doing God's work. So she is a trailblazing mindset expert, purposepreneur, and clarity coach. She says, are you tired of the traditional way of doing business? Is your spirit yearning for more of an honest approach? Then she wants you to join her. And we want you to join us today. We want you to comment. We want you to share. We want you to like, because I know she's got something special for you. She'll share an incredible journey of aligning her business with God's principles, her decision to seek God's guidance, and how that affected her entire business. And she wrote something called the Biblical Business Plan. I got my copy, and we're going to talk about that today. So let's bring her in. I want you to give her a round of applause, virtual round of applause. Hey, Coach Ari.
Hey, I'm so excited.
Me too.
I'm so excited to be here.
You know, I absolutely love you. And every time I hear you speak, no matter what platform it's on, I'm like, whew, I was telling somebody about you. I was actually telling my significant other about you. And I was like, this young woman is anointed.
Oh,
now he doesn't even have Clubhouse, but I'm like, you need to get Clubhouse so that you can go in there and hear Coach Ari speak, because I'm telling you, she's going to give you what God and what Jesus has for you. So, I want to ask you, before we get into this conversation, I want to ask you what you thought about that video.
It's so disturbing. It's funny because I watched another reel. I sent it to my husband, and they were, I don't know the guy's name, so don't even get me started, because it's escaping my mind. But how they are now trying to impose certain restrictions on you having gardens and things like that, and they're pressing the government to now put restrictions on us growing our own food. and buying up all the land so that they can start to create this. Like, it was the same type of role. I have to send it to you.
Yeah, please
You
do.
might want to. I didn't know you put those, but I'm gonna send it to you.
Mhm.
And I was very disturbed. I was very like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And it was African Americans talking about it, and they were just saying how what they're trying to do is control our food so they can put it in the food,
Yeah.
so they can then implant it in how they want. And here's the thing. Some things, like you said, is definitely biblical, right?
Mhm.
I always try to remember that. Don't be too shocked, because to me, that's what the enemy wants. If you're so shocked,
Mhm.
then it's like you're desensitized on how to defend yourself.
Mhm.
So, but it is very disturbing. It's
Yeah.
it's very disturbing. But I think truth of the matter is they've been altering things for years.
Yeah.
So anytime it like finally manifests where we can see it out loud like that,
Mhm.
they've already been doing it.
Mhm.
And
Well,
so
I share this a lot on this show, and I don't
Mhm.
give the actual place that I went, but I went to a place years ago. I was in my early 20s, and
Mhm.
me and my cousin took her kids to this place. And as we were going through one of the parks there, they had like all of these like huge vegetables, and I thought back then, I'm like, there's something very wrong with
Right.
this. Like, I didn't feel good about it. I didn't think it was so amazing. I'm like, something's wrong with this.
Mhm.
So thank you for saying that, but I just wanted to share that because you said for years, and this was quite some time ago.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's, to me, I'm like, I even think the same with movies. Like, when certain things happen with movies, I'm like, they've already done it.
Yeah.
Because the thought process didn't just come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
So it's very disturbing.
Mhm.
It really sucks. And I believe, and it's just my opinion that we can move. I believe they're attacking the vegetables because we're becoming more aware of how to make ourselves live longer
Mhm.
and how to heal our bodies naturally.
Mhm.
So what does that do? That affects the medical industry,
Mhm.
the most lucrative industry in the world.
Mhm.
So, oh my gosh, they're actually understanding that they don't need our medicine, that
Yeah.
they don't need all of these things.
Yeah.
So what are we going to do?
Exactly.
Let's attack now what they are going to, which is healthy living, fruits and vegetables. And yes, they've been doing it, but it hasn't been on the scale that it's been on because wasn't enough of us taking the information.
Right.
But now we're understanding, like, everything God put here in its natural state is how they were living in the Bible until 600.
Yeah.
We couldn't even fathom somebody living 600 years right now.
Yeah.
And that was a normal thing.
Yeah.
So, but you got to just stay in God. I mean, I think at the end of the day, this stuff has to happen.
Yeah.
So you got to be rooted in God. I think right now is, if no other time more than now, you got to be rooted in God. So you can be able to decipher.
Yeah. Yeah. And there will be ways to maneuver, right? Because God always shows up there when the time is right. There will be ways to maneuver, just as we've seen, of late that, 2021, right? So there will be ways to maneuver as long as you stay rooted in God. So thank you for just sharing on that. But yeah. There's so much out there too. So and I want to even include in that, like even our soil is damaged, right? Like our soil is not enriched with what it used to be enriched with, so that the vegetables and the fruit can grow the way that they need to. I always share this too because I'm from New Jersey originally, and they call it the Garden State. Well, when I was growing up, when I was a little girl, it really was the Garden State. Now, when you drive through the areas where they had all the flourishing farms, now it's just cornfields, nothing else.
Really?
Literally nothing.
Which corn is like nothing. It doesn't do anything.
There's
it's not
no
anything.
Nutritional value. You can't digest it. Don't get me going about the corn.
You already know my background came from being a physical trainer.
Yes.
So, and doing food and really paying attention to what you put in your body. So when I found out, and I love corn, don't get me wrong, but when I found out it had absolutely no nutritional value, I was like, what?
Yeah.
It was almost like it was a gag. Like they made us believe.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting that nothing but cornfield stuff that's not going to
do anything.
Like I said, the medical industry is the highest paying industry out here. And if we are not aware of that, and that anything that threatens that conglomerate, they're going to figure out how. They're going to figure out how.
Yeah. So that's enough for that, because we're here to talk about you and the biblical business plan.
I love it. I'm here
Well,
for it.
I have a just something that was mentioned when I was listening to my sermon on listening to a sermon on Sunday. And it said, and this is, a lot of you may have not put it this way, but a lot of what you talk about is this. But she said, we are properly entitled to inherit everything that Jesus inherited because we are co-heirs with Christ.
I love it.
And I just thought that when I heard that, I'm like, oh, that's going to be so applicable to you coming in, because I've heard you say that in different ways when I hear you speak. So let's get into why, because we talked backstage and you were already bringing in the biblical principles in your coaching programs. Yes. But talk about why this book, why now, how this all came about.
Well, if you know anything about me, I don't take credit for nothing, because I feel like if you take credit for it, you gotta hold it, and I don't want to hold it. I don't want the stress of holding it. Yeah. So honestly, it was 2:30 a.m. in the morning on a Saturday, and God said, write the book, the biblical business plan, and I was like, say less. So one thing about me that obedience is better than sacrifice. When we learn just to be obedient, whether it's healthy living, whether it's your business, whatever it is, when you just be obedient, you reap the fruit of obedience. Mm-hmm. So I started writing. And to your point, I was already operating in this, because for me, when I fired my employer almost 2 years ago, it was like God took me on this journey. And a lot of things, I think when you walk with God, you don't really get the fullness and the understanding of it till a certain amount of time. That's just how it is, right? Mm-hmm. So I was going through these motions already. He was pulling me in this space of like, follow me. This is how you do it. This is how you follow me. Tuning my ear to just really hear him. My saying is, God's my CEO. Mm-hmm. When God's my CEO, I don't have the pressures. I don't have to worry about it. Mm-hmm. And you get very burnt out as a business owner when you are the CEO. And I know this is like, I laugh because I'm like, it's so unheard of. Everybody wants to be the top, but there's too much pressure there that we are not able to sustain alone. And so I was already doing it. I was already being cultivated by God to build my business on biblical principles. And then I just started taking, and that's how I am. I take what God tells me and I learn and I give it back. Mm-hmm. I think that's the easiest way to build anything. Mm-hmm. Take what your knowledge is, what you have, what you've learned, and then just give it back. Just give it back. So I was already doing it, but it was literally 2 weeks ago now. I think maybe 2 weeks ago when God said, like, write it. Mm-hmm. And I think it's because I understand myself how to, number one, apply it and how to teach it in a way. And this was always my prayer. If I'm going to teach anything, I need it to be actionable and practical. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of times people read the Bible, we read the Bible, and it doesn't make sense. Yeah. So when I got wore out from doing everything that social media told me to do, that this person said do, and that coach said do, and da 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 da, and I got tired of, like, I don't want to say wasting money, but investing money in things I didn't need. Because that's what we do when we don't know what we need. We invest in what we don't need. So I got tired of investing in things that I didn't need and coaches that I didn't need. I finally was like, God, you're gonna have to show me how to do business, because I'm tired. Okay. Social media is wearing me out. All of the free tools, I'm exhausted. And none of them are working. None of them were really, when I say weren't working, they weren't giving me that, like, you'll get something, you're like, okay, this is good. Like, okay, cool. You'll get, but I needed that, like, that moment. Breaking me through, and nothing was doing it. Yeah. So it wasn't until I myself went back and said, you got to teach me how to do business.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah. So let's walk through this, because you start off with principles. Yes. So define even what that means for everybody out there, the principles.
So simply put, even in the world, they follow biblical principles. You can always, like, go back and find where something that's really hyped, let's just say, breaking generational curses. It's very hyped, but it's very biblical. It's not anything that we haven't seen. So for me, principles of giving, it shall be given unto you. It's like if you see somebody who has a philanthropy, they're very giving, they do a lot of that. You see that they're very blessed. They have a lot of things. So when I'm talking about principles, it's God's instructions that he put in place that always work.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times we forget to apply that in our businesses. But we see people who maybe don't serve the same God we serve. You know, we serve God who had the son of Jesus. You know, Jesus is the prerequisite.
Mm-hmm.
But you see a lot of people who don't serve our God, don't believe what we believe, but because they're working the principles of God, they work. What we have to understand is when God said, I'm not a God that I shall not lie, that he cannot lie. That means if he put a piece of instructions out in the world, whoever follows it gets to reap it. That's why he says, I'm no respecter of person. I can't be. Because if I become a respecter of person, then I'm lying. Then the principle of give and it shall be given unto you. If I make it for only a certain people, if I become a respecter of person, then my word is a lie, right?
Yeah.
So when I say principles, very simply put, it is the instructions that God has given us that work no matter who you are, no matter what you do.
Yeah.
No matter who you serve.
Yeah. And that's good, right? Because then that just goes back to what I just mentioned in the sermon, right? If you realize that you're a co-heir with Jesus, then you're not excluded from all the goodness that God has for anybody, right? It's for everybody. So I love that. I love that you say that. And it was interesting to me when I was looking at it and I'm like, oh, she's starting off with the rest piece. And I love how it's not just going into like just the action that you need to take for your business. It also talks about the things that you need to do for yourself and your life, right? That's going to allow you to be a better purposepreneur, a better business owner, a better I'm not gonna say co-CEO. I'm gonna say the president.
Okay, something like that.
CEO, right?
Somewhere in there.
But why start with rest? Because you started there in those principles.
Because so Jesus, I teach my kids this, right? When I was teaching them about the Trinity, God, the Father, and the Son, I told them, I said, God created everything we see. The Son is our example, and the Holy Spirit is our power. So that's how I teach them. So when you want to learn about creation and how things work and you know who you are, that's a God piece. When you want to understand how to be an example, you study Jesus. That's a Jesus piece. When you want to learn how to walk in the power, you study the Holy Spirit. So Jesus being our example, I read Jesus from a perspective. First of all, I ask God to show me the Bible from a business standpoint. That's first and foremost. Anytime you need answers, he said, ask and it shall be given. So the Bible started opening up to me in a business standpoint. So I said, Jesus had a nonprofit. Okay. He wasn't about money. He was about souls. That's how it came for me. So that I could be able to start to see, okay, how can I apply this to my business? Because Jesus was very successful. Like my guy is still the most viral person we know. And he didn't have no social media. Hello, put a pin there. Very successful without social media, but okay. So, but when I looked at my example, he always rested. So this mentality that you have to go, grind. Blah, blah, blah. It's not biblical. It's not sound. That's not it. If you watch and read Jesus's nonprofit mission, he would go, he would serve, he would rest. He would go, he would serve, he would rest. He would always tell the disciples, I'm going to go off by myself. I'm going to go off by myself. And so when I saw that, it really helped break down because listen, y'all, I'm a grinder, okay? Anybody who knows me, really get it done. I will pull the all-nighter.
Well, you just said you got that message from God 2 weeks ago and the book is out. So
okay.
Put that out there.
There we go. And it took me a week. Okay. I'm writing until I'm feeling relief. So I am truly like I'm poster girl for grind because I'm not like detached from this. Some of what, the world teaches is this laziness and they put it as self-love. They put it as rest. Okay. Jesus wasn't lazy, y'all. He just took his rest. So if it's time, if you feel tired and you need to go to sleep and you feel, depleted, get you some rest. Go to sleep. God's not a God of confusion, right? So anytime I start feeling like even my God ideas start getting confused,
Mhm.
I'm going to sleep.
Yeah.
Because it's at that point that I'm relying on me and I'm not relying on God.
Yeah.
So the rest piece is so valuable to even get clarity on, okay, what do I do next?
Yeah. Ooh,
Because
yep.
our minds have the power to go 1,000 miles per minute, right? So
Mhm.
if you're not resting, and some of us have, you know, I'll be the first. We've
Mhm.
taught ourselves a really bad habit to where our brains even are going in our sleep.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
And you know, your body gets used to it adapts, right? And it gets used to however you start to perform and operate, and it will adapt to that. This is this intricate system that God made. There's no
Yep.
other system like this body, but it will kind of adapt to everything that you're doing. Now, it could be adversely affecting you though,
Mhm.
right? But it's going to adapt.
Yep.
So you have to do the things that you said, like you said, God said, Jesus rested. So you got to get that rest, right? And sleep is one of the most powerful things that you could do for your body. Yeah.
Most powerful. Jesus,
Yeah.
let me tell you something. When you really read about Jesus sleeping at the bottom of the boat,
Mhm.
but see, here's the truth.
Mhm.
A lot of us don't rest because we don't trust in our CEO. So you can't rest because you're being the CEO. You're in the driver's seat. You got to figure it out. You got to make it happen. The best, and I've said this so many times now, the best decision I could have ever made was let God be the CEO because it's not your responsibility to make it work. The only thing he asks you to do is be obedient.
Mhm.
He didn't say, I need you to figure out the 10-step plan, blah, 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 blah. He didn't say, I need you to figure. He said, I need you to be obedient. In obedience, he'll give you the plan. In obedience, he'll give you the steps. You never see Jesus wonder where to go next.
Yeah. So talk a little bit about what that looks like as people go through the biblical business plan in terms of, you know, because I in the business plan in the book, you have in there those days where, you know, you're kind of planning out your time with God, right? So talk about, you know, being able to trust, have that faith, go through the business plan and, you know, really be able to listen to God in those moments as you're walking through this book.
So we go through, let me give the origin. So the Habakkuk 2:2-3 scripture, which we all know the first piece very well. Write the vision, make it plain. I mean, we got that. We got the vision boards, parties for that. We got that. But it's more than just write the vision, make it plain. And my goal is to get us to understand the whole business plan that God gave us. That's just a piece of it. And we do that a lot. You know, we take one scripture, maybe we're going to write that scripture, but there's a before and there's an after. So when it talks about how to when I talk about how to practically put these biblical principles in action, right, and start moving with it, a lot of the planning comes with, number one, how am I realigning myself with God? So even in there when I talked about writing out that plan of you getting in the presence of God and seeking God, it's really to say, okay, if one of the principles is renew my mind daily, what does that really look like? We have to stop quoting scripture. We got to live it.
Oh, say that again. I just want you to say that. Say that one more time.
We got to stop quoting it and live it. Why? Because it's the living word. So if he's saying write the vision, make it plain, if he's saying renew your mind daily, then okay, how do I do that? That's where you sit down and make it practical. Are you journaling every day, every morning, or every night? Are you putting on your worship music? Are you calling a friend who you know feeds your spirit, feeds your motivation, feeds your business mindset? Make that a schedule. Make that a thing. Put all of those things on your schedule because the word won't work until you make it practical and actionable.
And I love that. And I'm just going to share something that, I had an epiphany going through your boot camp, right? And we were talking about those things where you need to fill yourself up. And you were saying schedule that fulfillment. And I had never really done it. I mean, I did my whole morning ritual. But when I got frustrated throughout the day or things are going right, I feel challenged throughout the day. I never stopped to, fill my cup. So now it's on my schedule ever since the boot camp. It's on my schedule at 12:45 p.m. in the daytime is my fulfillment. And it looks different every day because I have a few things that I like to do. It could be music, it could be worship, reading the Bible, it could be just listening to gospel music, whatever that is for me, right? I do it at 12:45 p.m. during the day. And then, you know,
it could be working out.
And
it's
it's
taking a walk.
Well, I do a whole worship and workout. That's my thing. That's my jam. And speaking of which, I heard you the other day say you had this whole playlist. I'm gonna need that because you may have something that I don't have. And then when I'm working out, because let me tell you, my son is so embarrassed by me at the gym when we go together because I'm worshiping so hard. And he's like, Mommy, I can hear you across the gym. I said, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care who hears me or sees me. It doesn't matter. I'm in worship right now. I'm, you know, fueling my body. I'm in worship with God. So, and he's like, oh my goodness, Mommy.
I put, you know what's funny? Right before we got on, I was putting it together because I had people DM me like, can I have the playlist? Where is the lit Christian worship playlist? But I do the same thing. Like I be in the gym and they probably be thinking I be listening to all kind of, I will have worship music on. You would think I was listening to hip hop, and then I'll have hip hop Christian music on. And you would think I was really like hardcore rap, but it fuels you. You think about it, like you're feeling about it. Let me feel my spirit. So I got you, sis. I'm gonna share that with you.
Yep. So I'm just gonna say this is what I do when I'm in the gym. I put my V's up, y'all.
It's gonna be worse now. You should have messed up. You should have been good with the worship because now you have to be real lit.
Yes, please send it because I know there's some good stuff in there that I probably don't even have. But we're gonna take a quick commercial break, everybody. You do not want to go anywhere because we just scratching the surface right now, and we will be right back. Hey, and we are back. So if you saw that commercial, that is Weekly Dose of Dano. You can find him right here on Trajectory TV on the E360 TV network. Shout out to Dano. But we are back with Coach Aarionna Hamilton Lusane. Woo, everybody. So if you missed the first part of the show, you want to make sure that you go back and watch. But we're about to continue to get into this even more. So listen, I wanted to ask you also, because you say purposepreneur and you call yourself a purposepreneur, and everybody that comes into your programs are purposepreneurs. Mm-hmm. Why purposepreneur over entrepreneur?
So purposepreneur for me means that I'm building my business around my God-given identity. Mm-hmm. So it's who I am. It's not something that I just picked up. It's not something that I just thought would be a good thing because it can make me a lot of money, mm-hmm. and everybody's doing it. I tried entrepreneurship, mm-hmm. and that's what it was for me. Let me say that it was, you can do many things, and I don't think anything's wrong with it. But it's so funny. Like there's other things that I'm really, really good at, and other lines of businesses. Like, I do embroidery, I do custom mugs and cups and things like that. And this is stuff that is my entrepreneurial side. Mm-hmm. This is my purpose. This is just who I am. This is who God created me to be. And I'm just building a business around that. Yeah. So I have nothing wrong with entrepreneurship. I think it's amazing. I have entrepreneurial businesses, mm-hmm. but my purposepreneur business, this is just who God created me to be. It's deeper than making money. It's deeper than just even building wealth. It's really me just making God proud in my own way. Because I think so many times in church, we feel like you have to be a preacher. You have to be a pastor. You have to be an evangelist. You have to, like, there's this mentality that it has to look this way in order to be used by God. A purposepreneur knows that however God created me to be used, I'm still being used.
Yeah. And so ministry can be so many different ways, right? Like you can go out and do ministry in so many different ways. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you can build a business around it and feel good about it. Because for me, this is just ministry. Like it's just what God called me to do. But he gave it to me to bring wealth into my house, to bring money into my house. And like I said, because there's so many different stigmas and things that we deal with as being Christians and believers, it was important for me to know that it's okay to sell a product. It's okay to charge for this knowledge, even though it's attached to the Bible and the Word of God. You know, a lot of people could look at the biblical business plan and be like, what? Like, how are you charging people for this? Because I'm building a business around who God created me to be, and I can do that and stand in that confidently.
Yeah.
It's still money.
Yeah. And okay, so there's so much there. One thing I just wanted to mention, what flashed across the screen was, you know, what you do and what you're meant to do could be different, right? So I just wanted to say that. But I wanted to ask you too, because you talked about the identity. Talk to that person who not really sure about their identity. First, I'm going to say engage Coach Ari as your coach if you're not sure about your identity. But but talk to the person who's not sure about their identity and, you know, how to find it.
Yeah. So quick little fast story. I remember I've been in church for a long time, but I really got my like feet in church when I was around 19, right? Where I really like bought into it and started, you know, being involved. I think as you grow up, you know, your family had you in church, but it was for me, right? So you reach a point in your life where church is for you now. It's not because you're obligated. And everybody around me had their thing. You know, everybody around me had like, I don't know, like they looked like they were being used by God and they were preaching or they were traveling. And I just wanted so desperately to be used. And I wanted to know what my purpose was. But it really drove me into depression because I felt like I didn't have purpose. I felt like I didn't have identity. And so for me, I started going on the journey. And I think it's more so of getting to know yourself. When you get to know who you are and you start unlearning people telling you you shouldn't do that. Why you talk like that? Why you do this like that? And you start to understand like who God created me to be is perfect. And there is people who are going to resonate with who I am and what I do and what they need is going to come from me. So you have to first love who God created.
Yeah.
I had to love who he created and stop. Let me say, comparison will steal everything from you. Your identity, your voice, your look, your wealth. Comparison steals everything from you. You think about so many women are dying, getting like mommy makeovers and all of these things because I don't look like her. And we look at them and we're like, they're so pretty. Like you look fine. They're on this path. Why? Because they haven't fell in love with who God created them to be. And it's a thing of understanding. I love who he created me to be. And I also understand that there's a greater version of me that I need to strive for. Right. So when I was feeling purposeless and I was like, what's my identity? It was because I didn't understand that God could use me just as I am. I'm not performing. I'm not trying to be anything than who I am. So for that person that feels like, I don't know what my purpose is. What is God calling me to do? I guarantee you, if you look at what you do authentically and organically, it's right there. Why? Because he created you with everything you need.
Yeah, that's good. I can remember stepping out in business, entrepreneurship, and failing, right? And looking, like you said earlier, just looking at everybody and what everybody's doing, and I got to do it this way, and like you said, spending money on things that I didn't really need because it wasn't really for me, but I didn't know which way I was going, and God was like, sat me down, and he said, I didn't tell you to do it that way. Like, this is literally what I heard in my head. I didn't tell you to do it that way. and he brought something my way, and I'm like, okay, all right. So I'm going to sit here and listen to him, and I'm just going to keep, doing this the way he's telling me to do. And I didn't even necessarily agree with what came my way. I'm going to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But I said, okay, I'm going to be obedient. And because he said that I have got more for you to do. So this is what I'm giving you for you to do the other things, because I didn't tell you to do this that way. Yeah. So I was like, okay.
But that's what this is about. Like, this biblical business plan is about understanding the way God called you to do it, how you're supposed to do it.
Yeah.
Why? And this is one thing that I've been on, and you've been in my rooms in Clubhouse. We are disruptors. The world teaches us to be like everybody else, do it like everybody else, be like everybody else. Well, your example, Jesus, came to disrupt. Everybody loves to talk about the loving, the kind, the peaceful. Yes, but Jesus himself said, I did not come to bring peace. So stop trying to build your business to bring peace. You just are falling in a sea of people. You're going to be forgotten. You're a disruptor. So the things that God is going to tell you to do in your business are disruptive, and they're going to look different, and they're going to feel uncommon, and they're going to feel like, wait, nobody's doing this. That's on purpose, because he didn't call you to bring peace to your industry. He called you to disrupt your industry.
Ooh,
so
that's good.
We got to be confident in this disruption. So when even in the biblical business plan, it's getting you to adjust your mindset and detox from the world's way. They really want you to all look alike. They really want us to fall in alignment. They've been doing that since Jesus was here. That's why the Sadducees and Pharisees didn't like him, because he wouldn't fall in alignment with what they thought was right. But when you understand your CEO called you to be disruptive, you'll stop questioning his methods. And then praying, or no, this is the new thing God told me. We are begging him for things because we won't follow his method. He never said you had to beg for anything. You don't, going back to your devotional. You're an heir. Why are you begging for wealth? Why are you begging for the platform? He said, but you're begging because you don't trust my methods. I told you to pray and ask me. And when you ask, you shall receive. But purposepreneurs, as believers in business, we have got caught up in begging God for things that he's like, why are you begging me for what's yours?
Oof, that's so good. So that word disruptive has been coming up a lot lately. So I love that you say that, because hopefully that'll help everybody out there understand that, power is yours. You are meant to disrupt, and don't be shy about what God has given you. Just go out there and do it. Right. But I can remember when you were just speaking, I can remember when you talk about the begging, when things were failing, I was like, dear God, I do not want to do anything out of desperation. And that's how I'm feeling right now. You know what I mean? And I wasn't at the point where I was begging yet, right? Because let's just be transparent about it. But I was like, God, I don't want to act out of desperation. And then things started to change. But he's like, took me back to when I had cancer and all that story, the things that he showed me before the cancer came. And he's like, I already showed you that I got you. So stop, girl. Stop. Stop trying to do it your way. That's the problem. I know I'm hard-headed. I get a slap all the time from him.
We all are.
So things have changed in a different direction because of it. But I'm like, okay, God, I'm going with what you're telling me to do, and I'm gonna, just stay right there.
And it comes with that trust. Like, I think we don't realize how much our actions expose our lack of trust. I'm gonna tell you, because we're taught to kind of be like self-efficient in a way, you have to learn how to be God reliant. So building your business on biblical principles and having God as your CEO, like I said, it's not my responsibility to make it successful. It's not my responsibility to make it work. The only thing, and that's what I want everybody to understand when they get this biblical business plan, when you start realigning your business, he's only asking for obedience. 2:30 a.m.
And would you say that it already is successful? Really?
It already, if he dropped it in you, it's already successful.
Yeah.
because why, and that's, we had to remember, why would God call me to something that's not successful? Why would he call me to do something that he's not going to lead me? He's not going to guide. That just doesn't make sense. So even when I got this download, 2:30 in the morning, I was like, let's go. Now I have no idea where it's going to take me. I have no idea. I have an idea of how many sales I want to make, but who am I to cap God? I have no idea. But here's what I do know. My obedience is better than sacrifice. My obedience is going to get me to the door. My obedience is going to get me closer and closer to the vision God gave me. And that's the point. So one question that you said when you asked, how do you make it practical? And like, okay, write the vision, make it plain. Because I really walk you through a system of like, okay, how do I start seeing what step God wants me to take? What happens is your first step of obedience opens up all the rest of the steps. So then you'll find God will tell you, and I had this happen to me really quick. I was praying and I was like, God, I really want to start like speaking in schools. You know, I really want to go into the colleges and teach the young people about business and about mindset, because the percentage of college students that don't go to jobs and they start their own businesses are high. So there's a market for it. And there was one thing God was telling me to do, and I just wouldn't do it. I was just like, I don't want to do this. And he was like, okay, like God real like, hey, listen, you don't want to be obedient, that's on you. And when I finally made the call that I did not want to make, when I tell you, and I'm not kidding, Tracy, he downloaded the whole strategy of how to get the contracts and the clients. It was like, it's so hard to explain. It was like, boom. And my mind was just like, you ever had something that God told you to do? And he's like, okay, do this. And you're like, that's a strategy. Okay. Like, and I started, but it was the first thing that I was so like, God, it was me calling my old job. I was like, God, I don't want to call my old job. Like, as soon as I made the call, I got a whole strategy of how to secure the contracts.
That's powerful. That is powerful. That's right. This is why purposepreneur. That's right.
That's why you can be a purposepreneur.
Yeah. Oh,
he's not gonna let you stay in confusion.
Yeah. Oh, you guys got to get this book. So I quickly before I like have you give like, you know, just some wrap up on this and on the book itself. There's the partnership planner. Talk to the idea behind a partnership planner.
So vision, in the book, I explained that vision, you know, should scare you. Vision should make you feel like you can't do it by yourself. If vision feels like you can do it by yourself, that's not vision, right? Jesus got 12 disciples because he had a big vision. Then he got the rest of us on board. And he's still getting us on board because the vision's big. So the partnership planner says I have to come into partnership with God on my business. It's not that God gives me the download and then I just run and I'm out. All right, thank you, God. Appreciate you. Boom, I'm gone. No.
I'll come back later.
Yeah. All right. Thank you for the download. You get off that prayer, you get off your knees, you're like, boom, I'm out. No, stop doing that. It's partnership. Vision requires partnership. And anything God calls you to, you need him, because you don't have the capacity to do it by yourself. So the partnership planner says, how am I partnering with my CEO on my business? How? What does it look like when I go and seek him? And, you know, prayer it's not just this like get on your knees, you know, it's all day. Honestly, Tracy, I'm talking to God all day. Okay, what do I do? Okay, send out this email. Cool. What's the email supposed to be about? All right. Me and my friend had this conversation that exposed like a pain point. I'm gonna go write an email about that pain point. It's really wild, y'all. When it happens, I'm telling you, if y'all get this book, and I'm excited because I'm doing a 5-day challenge. That's gonna be at the end of this month, where I walk you through it for 5 days. When it starts happening, you'll understand like that's partnership. You know what I mean? We all talk about networking. Why? Why do you want to network? So that you can get further. So the partnership planner makes you sit down and say, how am I partnering with God on the vision he gave me? It's not mine.
Yeah. Ooh, that's good stuff. Woo. Yeah. Listen, everybody. There was something that I had in mind, and now I lost it. But it's something that you always talk about when I hear you speak in the rooms, and now I completely lost it. Oh my gosh! If it comes to me, I'll say it. But I wanted you to just kind of talk about, okay, where to find it. We have the link here, everybody. There's the QR code right there. There's no excuse why you can't get the book right now, because all you got to do is click on the QR code and go get the book. The link is in on the show page, so you can just click the link. If you don't like the QR code, you can click the link. We got it all for you. But you want to make sure that you get it, especially for those purposepreneurs out there where you are like, I need some direction and I need God, and I potentially even need a coach. Well, she's right here. So you make sure that you engage with her as well. But just kind of sum this up, for people who are saying, I think I need this, or I know I'm lacking something. Somebody's needed something in their life and in their business, and they know they need God to be in the midst of everything that they're doing. Talk to that person.
So this is for you if you feel like, I'm tired of going in circles. I'm tired of trying things. It's just not working. I'm tired of feeling like I have to be a Christian over here and a business owner over here. No, I am a Christian business owner. I stand on my principles. I stand on what God says, and I seek God first. For that person who's felt like you've had coaches where it's been like they give you something, but it just quite don't feel right. It's like, I've had those coaches, and it's no knock to them. It's just not what I needed. So this is for you to realign your faith in the business that God gave you. For purposepreneurs, this is something God downloaded in us. So how can I do it void of God? But I need it to be practical. I need it to be actionable. I need because it's not just about praying. It's not just about talking. It's about manifesting. It's about doing it. It's about changing. And then you're not created to be broke. You're not created to struggle. You're not how are we heirs and we don't got it?
Yeah.
Right? So join me. My mission is this word is going to be made flesh. That's one thing that's going to happen before I get it out of here. Baby, this word is going to be made flesh.
Yeah.
He says he going to give me houses I didn't build. I want the houses.
Yeah.
If he said I will take what you have, and if you give it, I will multiply it. I need the multiplication. If he said, if I pay my tithes off of my sales, he going to give me exceedingly, but I want the flesh of it. What that means is it's tangible. I can touch it. And I want it God's way. So for the business owner that has felt pulled in two directions, like I'm a business owner over here, but I'm also a Christian over here, and you feel like you don't know how to mesh the two, you feel like you don't know how to incorporate it, this is for you. And I want you to know that God is releasing. He's released wealth to us. The pandemic is what I call it. He turned the table. So the wealth of the wicked is now for the just. But God told me this. I need you to go help my just people tap into it, because they're not.
Yeah.
So this is for those of us that say, you know what? And I'm going to say this. Just try it God's way. What you got to lose? You've been trying it the world's way. You confused. You don't know how many reels to post. You don't know. Do you write a book? Do you do an ebook? You don't know if you should be a coach or consultant. Just try it.
Yeah.
Because you've tried everything else. Yeah. And this is something that even if I lie, he said he'll never lie. So if you just work the principles, if you work the scriptures, and if you just do it, his word shall not lie. Now, I'm not lying either, but I stand on his word. So I just would say to that person, just try it. Just see, how can I realign? I think one of the greatest thing about you, Tracy, is when you join my programs, you are like, it's not that I'm down in the dumps or my mind is so off. It's just that how could this not make me better?
Yeah.
And I always admired you for that, because you were the first person to say, I'm doing this because it's just going to make me better.
Yeah. And speaking of which, I just want to share the vision that came out of that, right? So I just kind of rewrote my whole vision around, and I did this in parts, right? Because as you were challenging us to do things, I did it for every piece of business, right? But I'm just gonna read the health and wellness piece because we're on the Whole Living Show. But I said to impact women to lead healthy lives, to eradicate lack of energy, stress, low self-esteem, low body confidence and insecurity, embarrassment, feelings of unworthiness, and the need to prove themselves strong. That all came out of the boot camp. I did not have my vision written that way at all. I'm just going to tell you guys that she challenged me to stretch myself, and I went further because I just didn't do it for that piece. And if you can see my work right here,
Yes.
it's every piece, right? So they will all come to pass. And God, I told you, God put me in a different position, right? But all of this is outlined because I know all of this is coming to pass. This is what he fed me as I was going through this. So I know it's coming in phases, and I'm just, listen, when God's timing is the right timing. So this is how it works. But this is what came out of the boot camp, you guys. So listen, she's doing even more than when I was in the boot camp, because now you got the ebook and you can get the coaching on top of it. So you know, listen, if you're struggling, I'm telling you, the clarity came. You heard me read it. It's precise and it's crisp. And that all came out of just being in the boot camp. So I wanted to share that, just to say, you know, the type of person and coach that you are. I wanted people to know.
Thank you.
So absolutely. So listen, everybody, we are at the end of the show. Unfortunately, as this book progresses, you know, you're going to have to come back and share. Of course, because, you know, I feel like this time is too short, but we love everybody out there. Please join us. We've got a lot of the beautiful women from the WIN community coming in. We've got Cynthia Duncan coming next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to share her sexy system. We're going to say it like that, right? And she said, so make sure that you join us. And reach out to Coach Aarionna. You need a Coach Aarionna in your life. So that's it, everybody. We love you. I thank you, Coach Aarionna, for being here. And we'll see you all next Wednesday.
Thank you.